Hi everyone, welcome to ZyNerd's NEET PG 2022 information series. This morning there was an update by DGHS in the MCC portal, a notification to DME and all students on the round 2 joined rule. Basically, it mentioned that any candidate who joined an All India round 2 seat will not be eligible for any of the further rounds. This rule has already been there since 2018, and it also mentioned that it provided clarity on state round 2 joint rule, where there was so much confusion last year. So any candidate who joins a state round 2 seat will not be eligible for any further rounds, like for state mop-up or for All India mop-up or any further stray rounds or additional rounds that happen beyond state round 2. So if you joined an All India round 2 seat or a state round 2 seat, so that will be the final seat in 2022-23. You will not be able to eligible for further rounds. There's a lot of confusion. There's some candidates from 2021-22 who had joined seats, state round 2 seats, and then resigned, and now appearing for NEET for 2022-23 admission sessions. And those who joined All India round 2 seats could not resign but discontinued after the admission end date. On whether this is applicable for them. This has nothing to do with 2021-22 admissions. This is only for 2022-23 admissions, which is yet to happen. It will happen over the next few weeks, start over the next week or so. And it is for this particular admission session. If you take a state round 2 or All India round 2 seat in 2022-23, then you will not be eligible for further rounds of 2022-23. So that is what the rule is. How is it implemented? All India round 2 admissions, we already have joiners. We already have a process in place. Anybody who joins All India round 2 seat, the list is completely shared with all the states. And each state will ensure that these candidates who joined All India round 2 seats, the admitted candidates, will not be allotted in further state rounds. For state quota round 2, a portal has been developed by DGHS. And what DGHS is planning to do is get information from each state. Each state would upload the list of state round 2 joint candidates, and this list will be shared so that they are not allotted in any further rounds. So this is either in AA mop-up or state mop-up or further rounds. This also means that there may be no upgradation from state round 2 to state mop-up. Some states have been providing upgradation, like Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, etc. So there, the possibility of upgradation from state round 2 to state mop-up also goes away with this notification. This is based on PG Med regulation, so possibly this gets implemented. This would get implemented. There may be no legal challenges as well. So now we will look at what are the different scenarios and what will be the impact. The first question that comes to up in most of the forums is that, okay, so this is the scenario in AAR2. Will I be eligible? We look at All India round 2 exclusively first, and then we will look at state round 2 based decisions. The query is fundamentally, if I am in this situation in All India round 2 and I decide this, what will be the impact or eligibility for further rounds? We look at a scenario starting from All India round 1. A candidate has not been allotted in All India round 1. So the candidate did not join in All India round 1. Obviously, there was no allotment. And in All India round 2, the candidate participated and again did not get allotted. No issues. Eligible for All India mop-up. State mop-up eligibility. There is no impact in state mop-up eligibility too. If the candidate was otherwise eligible for state R2, the candidate continues to be eligible for state R2. No issues. The candidate was not allotted in All India round 1 and gets allotted in All India round 2. Now the candidate has to decide whether to join this All India round 2 allotted seat or not. The candidate does not join. In that case, the security deposit 25k or 2 lakhs or 10k paid will be forfeited. But the candidate is eligible for All India mop-up through fresh registration, and there is no impact in state eligibility. If the candidate was already eligible for state round 2, then the candidate continues to be eligible for state round 2 and further rounds. No issue in eligibility. Which means if you are allotted and you don't join, you are eligible for AA mop-up and it does not impact your state eligibility. Where is the issue? The same candidate without an All India round 1 seat gets allotted and joins an All India round 2 seat. That is your final seat out of the counseling. You cannot resign that seat. You will not be eligible for further AA rounds or further state rounds, even including state R2 if the results are going to be after All India R2 results. So fundamentally, these are the three scenarios. Not allotted in All India round 2, don't hold a seat, eligible. Allotted in All India round 2, don't join. Eligible in AA mop-up through fresh registration, and no change in state eligibility. Only if you're allotted and you join, you are not eligible. Allotted and you join the seat, then you are not eligible. Let's take the second scenario where the candidate was allotted in All India round 1 and did not join. So the candidate does not hold a seat when the candidate moves on to All India round 2. It is exactly similar like not being allotted. If you are not allotted in All India round 2, you still continue to be eligible. If you are allotted in All India round 2 and you do not join, even in this case, you continue to be eligible for mop-up through fresh registration. Does not matter if you have been allotted in All India round 1 and you did not join. You'll still be eligible for All India mop-up through fresh registration if you don't join the round 2 seats of All India. No change in state eligibility. You will continue to be eligible for state even if you are earlier eligible. If you're allotted in All India round 2 in this case and you join the seat, then obviously you don't become eligible. You're not eligible for All India mop-up and state round 2 or further mop-up. The third scenario, you're allotted in All India round 1. You joined and resigned the state before there is a deadline which is provided. After you join an All India round 1 seat, you just before All India round 2, there is a deadline provided saying you can resign your All India round 1 seat by this deadline. If you resign before the deadline, what happens? You don't hold a seat. Correct? When you get into All India round 2, you don't hold an All India seat. Now, it is exactly the same as the earlier two situations. In All India round 2, if you are not allotted, you become eligible for All India mop-up and no impact in state eligibility. In All India round 2, if you are allotted and you don't join, your security deposit is forfeited, but still you are eligible through fresh registration in All India mop-up and no change in state R2 eligibility. And the only scenario where you become ineligible is you are allotted a seat in All India round 2, you join the seat, and then All India round 2 seat is your final seat. You're not eligible for any further rounds, including All India mop-up, state R2, or any further All India state rounds. The last scenario, this is a very tricky scenario. This is critical as well. Let's say you're allotted a seat in All India round 1, you joined the seat, you continued with the All India round 1 seat, and went ahead and filled choices in All India round 2. You are holding an All India round 1 seat while you are filling the choices for All India round 2. Let's say you are not allotted a better seat from your choices. What happens? You retain your All India, the candidate retains his or her All India round 1 seat and cannot resign the All India round 1 retained seat. So you were earlier having a seat, you did not get a better seat, your All India round 1 seat is final and it is considered to be All India round 2 seat. Therefore, you are not eligible for AA mop-up or further rounds and state mop-up or further rounds. Let's say you are allotted a better seat. After holding an All India round 1 seat, you are allotted a new seat from your choices. What you have to do is go back to All India round 1 and process for joining, but you decide not to join. You decide that All India round 2 seat is not a preferred seat, or you think you will get better options in all further rounds. You are not joining a new allotted All India round 2 seat. Then you are eligible for All India mop-up through fresh registration and no impact in state eligibility. If you are already eligible for state R2, you go ahead and attend state R2, there will be no impact. The third scenario under this particular All India round 1 seat holding scenario is that if you hold an All India round 1 seat, you are allotted a better seat in All India round 2 and you decide to join the seat. Obviously, if you join an All India round 2 seat, that is a final seat and you are not eligible for any further rounds, All India or state. Now, hope this is clear. When we say does not impact state eligibility for all these scenarios, it basically means that let's say you don't have a state eligibility earlier, then you won't have anyways be eligible for state. If you have a state eligibility earlier, you continue to be eligible for state. So basically, these scenarios won't impact state eligibility. Only All India round 2 seat joint scenarios mentioned here or AAR1 seat retained scenario will result in losing state eligibility as well as All India eligibility. Both go together. Now, one more thing to note here is none of these depend on your state R1 seat. Your decisions are in your All India round 2 seat or if you hold an All India round 1 seat. Irrespective of that, whether you hold a state R1 or seat or not, you look at this table to figure out what your All India round 2 decisions impact is. If we look at the state counseling round 2 decisions, what will be the impact of the decisions in state round 2? When we go into state round 2, the given is that you are not admitted in an All India seat. If you hold an All India round 1 seat or an All India round 2 seat which you have joined, you will not be eligible for state round 2. So we don't even need to look at All India round 1 seat status. The scenarios will be based on state round 1 seat holding or not, whether you're holding a state round 1 seat. We'll look at each of these scenarios. Let's say you're not allotted in state round 1. Then in that case, if you are allotted a state round 2 seat, We look at the state counseling round 2 scenarios now, basically the decisions and the impact. When you go into state round 2, you obvious and you get an allotment or you participate in that. It basically means that you're not admitted in All India round 2. If you're admitted in All India round 2 seat, you will anyways not be part of the all state round 2 allotment list. So that becomes a scenario which will not happen. So we will look at all scenarios, knowing that there will be no All India round 2 or All India round 1 seat holding for that candidate. You may hold a state round 1 seat or you may not hold a state round 1 seat. We look at different scenarios from those different situations that a candidate may be in. So first we look at a scenario where the state round 1 seat was not allotted and the candidate was not allotted in state round 2 too. So there is no seat in hand. This does not impact AA eligibility. You will be eligible for state mop-up as well. AA also you will be eligible for further rounds if you register. And second scenario is, let's say you're not allotted in state R1, you don't hold a seat, you come into state R2, you're allotted a state R2 seat, but you decide not to join. You're allotted a state R2 seat, you haven't joined the seat. No impact in AA eligibility. You will be eligible for AA mop-up. No uploading of names, etc. from state counseling authority. But your state further rounds eligibility, state round 3 or state mop-up or whatever it is called, if you are allotted a state R2 seat and don't join, depends on state rules. They may allow you to attend mop-up if you are allotted a state R2 and don't join, but there are some states which don't allow you. Check your state rules. It is not common across states. And the third scenario, let's say you don't hold a seat from state R1, you are allotted a seat in state R2, you join the state R2 seat, then that is your final seat. You will not be eligible for AA mop-up, you will not be eligible for state mop-up as well. We come to the second broad scenario where a candidate is allotted a seat in state R1. Now, the candidate did not join the state R2 seat. In this scenario, the first thing to check is whether the candidate is eligible for state R2. Certain states, let's say Kerala, does not allow an R1 allotted and not joined candidate to participate in state R2. So in that case, you will not be eligible for state R2. So you will look at further rounds, and there is no confusion. There is no confusion, or rather no possibility or scenario that exists. But let's say a state which allows allotted candidate allotted state R1 candidate who did not join the seat to participate in state R2. You go ahead and participate it, and you still remain not allotted. You don't hold a seat of state R1. You still are not allotted. This does not impact AA eligibility. You will still be eligible for further state mop-up rounds. That's very clear. And let's say you're allotted and you did not join the seat. You don't hold a seat. Come back to state R2, and you are allotted in state R2. You don't join the state R2 seat. You decide not to join the state R2 seat. No impact in AA eligibility. Will be eligible for AA mop-up, but the eligibility for state further rounds depends on state rules. An allotted and not joined candidate of state R2 may or may not be eligible for state mop-up. You will have to look at state criteria. Same as far as allotted and did not join, but allotted in state R2 and join the state R2 seat. So if you're allotted in state R2 and you join the state R2 seat, you are not eligible for any of the further rounds. That is your last seat. Allotted, joined and resigned seats. Some states may allow allotted and a state R1 allotted candidate to join and then resign their seat. So in that case, there will be no seat held by the candidate while going into state R2. In some states, this may result in ineligibility for state R2. We are looking at states where there is an eligibility. So you're allotted in state R1, you joined and resigned the seat, and then go into state R2 for allotment, fill your choices. It is exactly the same as the previous scenario where you did not hold a seat. If you are not allotted, eligible for AA mop-up and same for state mop-up. If you are allotted and you don't join a seat, does not impact AA eligibility. You will be eligible for AA mop-up. But when a candidate is allotted in state R2 and does not join, whether he is eligible for further rounds of state depends on the state rules. That you have to check with state rules. AA mop-up, you will be eligible. The last one is a candidate who doesn't hold a seat when he comes into state R2 is allotted and joins the state R2 seat. That is the final seat. The candidate will not be eligible for any other seat. We come to the very last scenario where the candidate is allotted a state round 1 seat and the candidate joins the seat, continues with that, and then the candidate gets allotted a better seat in state R2. Now the candidate is not allotted a better seat in state R2. The candidate basically would retain the state R1 seat. He comes into state R2, to with a state R1 seat in hand and is not allotted a better seat. The candidate retains the state R1 seat. Usually there is no confusion with it, but some states allow R1 seat resignation on the spot. For example, let's say Rajasthan during round 2 counseling allows resignation of R1 seat on the spot when your order comes in. This is an offline counseling. So, or some states allowed resignation of R1 retained seat after the allotment is R2 allotment is released for a few days. So if this happens, many states, this may result in ineligibility for both AA mop-up and state mop-up. But if resignation is allowed after R2 or spot resignation is allowed, there will be confusion. We don't know the scenario because in all India, we saw that it was very clear you are ineligible. It will be considered an all India round 2 seat. Same should be there for state 2, but there is no written confirmation on this for state 2, like in the MCC's information brochure. We will have issues possibly in this. You have to wait for clarity or look at your prospectus, and if no clarity is there, ensure that your state provides clarity on that. Even if it results in loss of seat, please don't make a choice without clarity. Ensure that your state provides clarity on this scenario. Now there is a second scenario. You've joined a state R1 seat, continued with it, and you hold a seat and you are allotted a better seat in state R2. Now your R1 seat is allotted to someone else. You don't hold your R1 seat at all now in this scenario, and you have moved on to a better state R2 allotted seat. You decide not to join that seat. If you don't join the state's R2 seat, then R2 seat which has been allotted in R2 first time, no issues. It does not impact AA eligibility. You will be eligible for AA mop-up, and usually it does not impact state eligibility, but still check on whether it depends on state rules or not. It may depend on state rules in this scenario. We think it will depend. So just check on whether it depends on state rules in this scenario. And the last one is you're allotted a better seat in state R2. This is after holding a state R1 seat, you get a better seat and you join the seat. If you join a state R2 seat, it is very clear you're not eligible for further rounds. Fundamentally, everything is very clear. If you look at all the red ones here, you join a state R2 seat, only then you become not eligible for further rounds. If you are allotted and don't join a state R2 seat, then it depends on state rules. That is what you need to, that is what is the takeaway. In all the other scenarios, it may depend on whether you may not be holding a seat at all. So you'll directly be eligible for all other rounds as far as AA and state is concerned. Hope this has given clarity. Even if not, we'll be sharing the screenshots with you. You can have a look at the screenshots and or pause this, and at any point in time come back to these scenarios and look at what will be your eligibility. Except for in this case, there will be some confusion. We have modified this to depends on state rules. So just have a look at this particular screenshot at this timeline and come back and look at your brochures as well. There may be some states which may not go with, may not modify all clauses so that this is implemented, but still this will be implemented. Even if the state says that both state R2 mop-up, there'll be upgradation to mop-up. Hold on and take a decision, because at the last minute there will be legal challenges. So it is state R2 joint and AA R2 joint candidates are not eligible for further rounds as far as 2022-23 is concerned. Hope we have given clarity. Please do share this with other candidates as well, in case you think that it will be helpful. We have our Telegram group and our portal here. We have got a lot of information in our portal on allotments, closing ranks, for making it very easy for you at a very minimal subscription plan cost. Please have a look at the portal, look at the YouTube videos, and then decide on subscribing for our plans. Thanks a lot for watching.